built like a middleweight boxer, with a thatch of what looked like Swedish blonde hair on the top of his noggin. Tony Currie, to my mind, in the 70s was a god amongst men in the football world. Yes, you'll have heard about him, even if you didn't see him, as one of the entertainers, the Frank Worthington, Duncan McKenzie, Stan Bowles. If you're listening to the big interview, you've heard me nattering on and on about these people. And if you listen to the Simon Stainrod interview, Simon said that Tony was the best footballer he ever played with. Here's the rub. Tony was a London geezer who moved up to Sheffield to play for United in 1968. And even though he had brilliant spells with Leeds and QPR, who was their main man when they went to the cup final against Spurs? Yes, it was Tony Currie. Tony has been associated with Sheffield United since 1968. He's the cutting edge of the blades. He's there today, enjoying their brilliant Premier League performance, but he's been voted their all-time greatest footballer. He's a brilliant storyteller. He played against his absolute idol, Jimmy Greaves. He made football look beautiful and simple, and Don Revie said, I don't want you for England. This is a catalogue of superb stories from one of the best footballers Britain produced in the 70s and 80s. Don't worry if you didn't see him. YouTube will fill you in. Don't miss a word of Tony Currie. This is a fabulous interview. This is the big interview with Tony Currie. This is one that I'm not going to call it by any means an indulgence, listeners, but you're back with the big interview. And because I've taught so much over the years about the style of player that I adored, you won't be very surprised. Well, you might be surprised to know where we are. We're in the away dressing room at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United kind of rule England at the moment. They're playing some of their best football ever. They're about to land in Europe, we hope, for the first time in history. And we're with their greatest ever player. So, I don't know how people address you differently. To me, it's definitely for the moment, until I see that you're approving or not, it's Mr. Currie. I'm led to believe that there's a lot of TC banded around.
Oh, that's been banded around a long time. So.
You happy with TC?
TC is the word, yeah.
We're with Mr. Tony Currie, one of England's great footballers and somebody who inspired me as a youngster. And we're about to throw him in at the deep end because I'm not sure how comfortable you are with praise. Maybe it's easy peasy for you, but I want to read something that was said to us in a recent podcast we did. I'm not going to tell you who it is. But here's the quote. Tony Currie, the nicest person you could ever meet until you got into the dressing room before a game. At which point, he took over. He told everyone to give him the ball every time they got it. He had an ability to transform players that weren't close to his ability up to another level. I've seen him holding off people with one hand, and when they're trying to get the ball, they're really having a go at him, and it's nothing to him. Very similar to Zidane. He can hold off three players with one arm while they're working out what trick he's going to do, how he's going to embarrass you. He's the best player I've been on a pitch with, but he could do anything. Now, I want to come back to that quote in a minute, and if you want, I'll tell you who said it.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to know, but it must have been, somebody who's played with me, but for a club side?
Played with you for a club side, went to a cup final with you, and feels exactly about your playing abilities like I do. Not a shy man, also known...
So he played in the final with me?
He did.
Simon Stainrod. Dead easy. Simon.
You can hear his voice in those words, can't you?
The man should have played for England. He was that good, Simon.
He was a fantastic footballer.
He was that good. He should have. I don't know what it was, but...
He sat on the bench in Rio that day of the amazing John Barnes goal, and Sir Bobby never called and never tapped his shoulder. But I think in Simon's head he's probably played 100 times for England, so he's one of those. He's one of those that he can probably handle it.
Without a doubt, he was certainly a confident lad.
But we're not here to talk about him. It's early in the interview for me to be throwing all this sugar your way. But do you recognise what I've been saying to you since we got in this dressing room and what Simon said about you? For those who didn't have the privilege of watching you in your long career, with those words that Simon was describing you, did you say, yeah, that's what I tried to do?
Oh, yeah. The book, The Entertainers. I was one of them, and I wanted to go out and show the fans what I could do. I was confident in my ability 100%. People say, and it's been said recently, I played when I wanted to play. But what people don't realise is the other team are having their team meetings, and they're putting one or two players on me and trying to stop me playing. It's not easy. It's not easy to be playing at 90, 100% all the time, and we were never 70, 80% fit anyway. They used to chuck us out with an injection or whatever, because there was no squads in them days. I'm waffling on now and getting off the point.
No, it's not. The point is, because we're going to come back to this point, in that I also noticed early on, one of the things that I think you might not have loved it, but it was an identifiable part of 60s and 70s, and even 80s football, that football was hard. And you had to, if you wanted to demonstrate something with the ball, if you wanted to take players on, if you wanted to entertain the crowds, you were going to get it. We'll come back to that. But have you ever thought about what made you an entertainer? Why you wanted to do those things with the ball rather than just head down, run forward, kick it at goal?
No, I mean, I've always been a skillful player. I mean, in the playground at school, you had to beat 20 players before you could, because it was like 90 a side, wasn't it? Tennis ball at your feet, and you've got to beat 3 or 4, 5, 6 players before you can lay it off if you could find somebody, because it was just ridiculous. No colours or anything, was there? I think that's where I learnt my skills and that, and as you do as a kid. And I played in certain positions. I mean, Chelsea gave me a trial at centre half, and I'm playing, and I had 4 trials at the Welsh Harp in Hendon, which is where we come from, and that was Chelsea's great training ground then. I used to go and watch Ozzy play in the juniors and that, and I met Jimmy Greaves at training, who was my idol. They put me at centre back, as you do in trials, because there's so many people there. They put me up against these big Scottish 10-foot strikers. I mean, I'm only about 5'9" at the time.
And we weren't delicate in those days.
No. But anyway, I never got. That was a disappointment, because they were my club.
Don't you feel that it's odd that they didn't look again, given that you had ability and stature and confidence? You can miss a player if you play him in the wrong position once, but it feels to me odd that you slipped through.
Well, that you can come on to that, but I'd already done a year as a schoolboy from 14 to 15 at QPR, and they didn't think I was going to be good enough. So, when it come to leaving school, no apprenticeship, they took on a schoolmate of mine, Bob Turpey, and he was a great player. So I had to start a job for 6 months, and during that time, that's when I had my trials for Chelsea, and I was, so I had a couple of knockbacks, but I thought, well, I'm confident, and I just got on with it. And then a Watford scout came and saw me, and I ended up there, and Ken Furphy took 6 months to decide whether I could be an apprentice or not. So around about my 16th birthday, he took a chance on me, and I signed as an apprentice for a year. And by the time, and then all of a sudden everything took off. And by the time I was 17, I got a pro contract, and 17 3/4, I'm in the first team, scored 9 goals in my first 6 games. That might be a world record for somebody from debut to whatever. 9 goals in 6 games. I was a striker then. It was ridiculous. So Sheffield United signed me as a striker. We're getting back to the skillful bit, which was your question. And so I've spent 2 seasons as a striker here, and the goals dried up. And I found myself coming back and making goals. And I went to John Harris, who was the manager then, and I said, look, I think I'd like to play in midfield, all right? And he said, yeah, have a go. And that was it. It took off then. Within a year, I'm playing for England in midfield at Wembley against Northern Ireland. Unbelievable. It was my comfort zone. I could do, and the more I did, the long balls, the dribbling and stuff like that, and the holding off with the arms.
You smile when you recognise that, don't you?
Oh, yeah. It's one of them or one of them. You just push them. But you see them doing it now, all the midfield. They have to do it. And you get away with it. You get away with it. I certainly did. But that was how it all happened to be that. And then you know, I wanted to go out and give the crowd something. We never got past the 4th round here in my 8.5 seasons here in the Cup. I think we got to the 5th round of the League Cup once at West Ham and got beat 5. So we never had a cup run. So we were always halfway or whatever in the league. So I was trying to give the crowd a bit of something.
If they couldn't see silverware, they could know that every time they came to see you, there'd be a thrill. There'd be something to get them off their seats.
But I weren't the only one in the team. I mean, we had match winners. We had Alan Woodward, who was the greatest player I ever played with, because we had that telepathy. Len Badger, Billy Dearden scored the goals. And we had speed merchants, Stuart Scullion, Gil Reese, Billy Dearden, Woody, Jeff Salmons.
Did you have Eddie Colquhoun at some stage?
Eddie Colquhoun was the fastest of all of us. He was centre half.
Preston Pans, man.
He used to kick his grandmother. He did. Used to kick us in training. I used to kick him back a couple of times. He didn't like it. But that was Eddie. I mean, he was a great player. Eddie, great player. Played 9 times, I think, for Scotland.
And you needed a Scot in your team in those days. There were Scots everywhere. Yes.
We ended up signing Jimmy Johnson in me last year. What a player.
I want to take you back now, because you stay surprised. I've always been surprised that Chelsea missed you. And the key is, because footballers are often missed. Trials are strange, clubs are strange, people are sometimes scared of taking decisions. And also in your day, maybe there was an awful lot of young, talented footballers and not a lot of money around. That could be part of it. But the key thing is, as soon as that happens, your career shoots up, and you're so impressive at Watford that at 18, and a London boy, in 1968, you're heading north to Yorkshire, to Sheffield United. I want you to take us back to that. Was it a worry? Was it heart-wrenching, leaving the family? Were you a man at 18? What was the whole north-south thing? Because if I remember correctly, it was a little bit fierce.
Yeah.
And you'd have been viewed as a big, cocky flash Londoner coming north to Yorkshire by the Yorkshiremen, I imagine. Take us to the train journey in 1968 coming up.
First of all, the cocky word, I've never been cocky in my life, only on the field. Yeah. That was my stage. You know, and I did it at the right time.
Was it difficult to choose to come north?
No, because I looked at the paper, I looked at the league tables. Watford languishing in the bottom half of the old 3rd division, and Sheffield United probably 7-8 from the bottom in the 1st division, which is now the Premier League. So it wasn't difficult, no. And I just wanted to rise to the top as soon as I could. I don't like change. I didn't really want to be leaving London and my familiarities down there. But I was already getting married at 18, and the wedding was going to be in March, which it was, March the 2nd. Yeah, I was going to be moving up here with my wife, and that was it. But I remember coming up, and it was dark, dingy, raining. I'd got off the train, and John Short picked me up, the first team coach, and took me to my digs. And I was in there for a month with Mrs. Lowe's at Netheridge. That was fun. And I shared a room with another Scot, Paddy Buckley, who became a lifelong friend. He's gone back up north now, he lives up there. But we had a great time for a month. He loved the old betting. We used to go to Owlet and the Dogs, and then we'd go to on a Friday night, this is, before reserve games, because I was only in the reserves for the first 3 weeks when I came. And he was prolific goal scorer. We got him from Wolves, and he'd score and I'd score, and we just kept scoring goals.
Did Sheffield look like a steel town then? You know, was it very...
Oh, it was, yeah, it still was.
The Yorkshire people have a really strong character. Did you take to them immediately? Did they take to you immediately?
Yes, I think so. Straight away after my debut and scoring and stuff against Tottenham. And Jimmy Greaves, my idol, was playing that night.
He scored as well, didn't he?
Yes, he did, yeah. They took to me straight away. I mean, people still come... I was at your first game, you know. Obviously they were quite old. I was at your first game. There must have been 100,000 at that game. The times people have told me, every time somebody says, "Oh, that's 34,000 now," 35,000.
That was your debut, where you were about to get married within a couple of days, and like you say, you played against the Spurs side. It was Pat Jennings, Phil Beale, Joe Kinnear, Mike England, centre half,
Dave
Cyril
Mackay.
Knowles, nice one, Cyril, the great Dave Mackay,
yeah, the great Dave
another
Mackay.
great Scot, Alan Mullery, Terry Venables, Martin Shivers, Cliff Jones. Jimmy Greaves, managed by Bill Nick.
Can you believe that?
For a long time, their all-time leading scorer. What do you remember about the game? Anything?
I can remember I think it was Gil Reese scored at the Cop end. I can remember his goal, and obviously I can remember my goal, cross from Dave Monks at the Bramall Lane end, and a header for Watford, my debut, header for Sheffield United, header.
How did you get it, even if you hit it well, how did you get it past Pat Jennings' hands, which is the side of Canvey Island, aren't they?
Oh,
they're gigantic.
Dead easy, Pat. I scored against him for Leeds at Arsenal, first game of the season in '78, and that was a crack. That was my best goal ever, I think, if you can get that up.
We're going to come to that one, don't you worry about it.
Dear me.
Did you know already before that goal that you had Brazilian blood in you?
yeah, you've seen it then. Yeah, outside of the right foot. Pat was probably one of the top 3 keepers in the whole of football ever. Just phenomenal. I don't know, just a point blank. I just got it in the right spot, the header. And
the club were okay that you said, listen, I'll make my debut against Spurs.
Well, they weren't. No,
and I'm off to get married.
Well, he did know about it, and perhaps John Harris knew about it, and perhaps he didn't think I'd be in the first team by then. But I was scoring goals for the reserve, and he obviously thought, right, I'll put him in for this game, and. So I'm scoring again, and then it comes to Leicester away. You can have your wedding, but we get a fast car, bring you up. Only take an hour, and you can just play. I kept saying, look, I can't. It's a wedding. It's the bride's big day. Can't do it. I can't do it. And I was in there for an hour, and I hate being grilled. I hate being in trouble, which I was in trouble. I wanted to play, of course I did, but
Can't play your wedding day.
Exactly. In the end, I didn't play. We lost 3-0, and it was ridiculous. I mean, I think we lost the last 6 home games. We only needed a point. We were 2-0 up against Fulham with 20 minutes to go here, and lost 3-2. Managed to lose 3-2, and then Chelsea stuffed us 2-0 on the last day of the season.
But there was something going on, and I don't know if you remember what it was, but we were looking at. There was a period where you played 3 games in 4 days.
Yeah.
It was just like match.
Not in that day. That was Easter. You played on a Friday, Saturday and a Monday, or a Saturday, Monday and a Tuesday, or a Friday, Monday and Tuesday.
Am I at the TC stage yet? Or should I still stick with Mr. Currie?
TC's fine. TC.
It's just quicker.
My wife says TC stands for 3 chins, but I have lost a couple of stones since then.
I have no comment on that subject. I used to be able to see these cheekbones, but not anymore. Top cat, I think, is part of it, because you were the top cat. But are you aware of what you're saying? Oh yeah, it was Friday, Saturday, Monday. Yeah. It's all very well saying it, but at the moment, all the doctors because we're children of the modern journalism, so we listen to the coaches and the doctors, and the players will tell you, well, no wonder we lost. We only had, 2.5 days to recover.
Yeah.
And they mean it too.
Oh, I know they do.
And you're like, yeah, of course we played 3 games in 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the done thing up until what? I don't know, the Premier League or whatever, I don't know. That's what you did. My first ever Easter, we played Liverpool away, and they were going for the title. Liverpool away, Tony Aitley, who was a great mate of mine.
Mark's dad.
Yeah. Ian St John, him up front, Callahan on one wing,
Roger Hunt.
Thompson on the other. No, he didn't. He might have played, but the 2 strikers in that, they had 3 strikers, but Tommy Lawrence in goal, Ron Yates, Lawler. You know the 58 goal that Pelly scored in the cup final where he lofted it over and then before it dropped, volleyed it. I did the same to Ron Yates, and I volleyed it, and it went at the other end of the Kop. And it went through Tommy Lawrence's legs, fortunately. But I did that. I did the Pelly thing.
Over Bill Shankly's Man Mountain.
Yeah.
Over Big Aberdonian Ron Yates, who shares a city with me. So that for anybody who doesn't remember that, you're talking about Pelé for Brazil against Sweden in the World Cup final in '58, where he flicks it up over, lets it drop down and volleys it home.
Yeah, before it hit the ground.
I think he won at Anfield that day.
We won 2-1.
Yeah.
So these are the 3 games over Easter, right? So that was whenever it was, but 3 in 4 days. We played Everton here in the middle.
Yes.
And Bawley gets the penalty. We lose 1-0.
That's right.
On the Monday or the Tuesday, we play Liverpool again here. We drew 1-1, and I scored that in that game as well. So
So Liverpool, Everton, Liverpool in the space of about 4 days.
Yeah, and just to let you know, you Liverpool people out there, and I do apologise for this, but those 3 points I helped us take off you didn't help us getting relegated, but it helped, and it didn't help Liverpool because they lost the title that year because of those 3 points.
I need to sort of hone in on a couple of details here, if that's all right, because I'm going to have to come back to Greavesy. I've got 3 specific questions about 3 matches in that spell. We'll go back to Greavesy. Why is your hero? We are advised that Simon Stainrod, as a 15, 16-year-old, was in the crowd on Saturday, 13th April 1968, when you're playing against what was then known as the Holy Trinity, which was Harvey, Kendall, and Ball. Yeah. And they were called the Holy Trinity because they could play great football.
Not many.
And allegedly you sit on the ball.
No, didn't sit on the ball in that game.
Was there a ball sitting moment?
Oh yeah, me and Alan Ball.
What happened?
You want to know now, or all right?
I'm interested. Yeah.
All right, we go now. Get in the England side. Me, Bawley and Bobby Moore took me under their wing because they were the experienced people, and it was fantastic. It's fantastic. Bobby Moore, the best man in the world for me, and Bawley weren't far behind, unless you were playing against him. And you know, he was great. But Sheffield United, Arsenal down here, around about 73, and they're 5-0 up. They're 5-0 up here. A few minutes to go, he's right in front of me, and he sits down and folds his arm on the ball. So I give it one of them with a smile. You know, nowadays they'd be, ungentlemanly conduct, red card, off you go. Anyway, that was that. So 2 years later, where I've scored 2 in the first 20 minutes, and we're 5-0 up against them when they're top notch. So I did the same to Bawley. And
how did he take it?
He gave it that. He just did that. He's great. He laughed. They're 5-0 down. What can he do? We were great mates. In the bar afterwards, he says to me, "I'll have another one for you at Highbury next year." So we play there the next season. He's put his foot on the ball, undone his lace, and done it up again. And I never got the bastard back. Never got him back for that. Don't know what the score was at the time, but he did it anyway. So,
do you use the privilege then of telling us about some of these players? Because I want to draw you back to in that debut season, you play against a team that's about to be European champions. You play against Manchester United at Old Trafford not long before they play at Wembley to beat Benfica, and you could recite the side by memory. I'm going to, but I want to start with Greavesy because he was playing in your. You met him at Chelsea when you were trialling. He was playing in your debut for Sheffield United, but he was your hero. Thankfully, recently there's been a film made about him, so that those who didn't understand anything just in the folklore or the goal scoring figures could understand about the guy, the weight, the quickness, the way in which it's not his feet didn't touch the ground. He seemed to be on casters. He floated. Yeah. But now I'm being impertinent. You describe what you saw. Not only what you played against, but why he was your hero, and to tell people about Jimmy Greaves.
Well, Jimmy's 10 years older than me, right? So I first went to Stamford Bridge in 1958. My uncle took me. My father left home when I was 4, so I lived with uncles and my mum and aunties and 13 of us in an house. Anyway, so he was a Chelsea fan, my Uncle Bert, so he took me to Chelsea.
Big dog track with a big old shed and unrecognisable from now.
Oh, blimey, yeah, all up until about 1970 it was like that. And then they built the big stand, didn't they? But 58, 1 and 3 for me to get in. That's about 6p to you lot out there. And £0.50 for my uncle. Used to go to every home game. We used to go to Chelsea, Arsenal, South East Counties League. That was the juniors. We used to go to them. There was 20, 30,000 there. Arsenal, Chelsea, 18-year-olds playing South East Counties League. So, just to see Greavesy for those 2 seasons before he went abroad was just phenomenal. I mean, the way he could beat players and the way the ball just, like all goal scorers, the ball just seems a magnet. When they get in there. They got the intuition and the vision to know where the ball's going to drop down and stuff like that. And he was just a great player. I mean, all right, he might not have got back and defended much, but what he did, I mean, what's Messi do? He was the Messi of 1958, 1960.
It's a comparison I sometimes like to make because I'm old enough to have seen bits of Jimmy on the TV live, and at that stage, because he was still so famous, you would often go back and see what clips were available. And I've lived in Barcelona for 18 years, so I've watched every
You lucky
minute.
man.
I am. Watching Messi lean into something and take the ball with him and go at high speed at an angle that the defender can't compete.
Floating on air.
Isn't it?
Riding tackles, floating on air is just...
Do you think the two of them have similarities?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. Jimmy probably scored more headers than what Messi did, but you know, similar stature, same, weren't they? Same sort of size, all left feet, mainly left feet, and the dribbling.
It wasn't always about power. It's like sliding it to the part of the goal the keeper doesn't want you to put it to.
Yeah, these people we're talking about, and Ronaldo, you can't get any better. And then you've got your Sterling. Sterling, right? All right, he scored quite a lot of goals. He should be scoring treble that amount because he gets in them areas, and I've seen him miss so many goals because he hasn't got the technique of Messi and Greaves.
And let me cheat, because off mic, another guy came up, and I loved your enthusiasm. Now, I didn't see him play live, but you pointed out to me that Stefano's never mentioned in these big discussions, but he made a giant impact on you, didn't he?
He did, yeah. The Real Madrid team did in those days.
What do you remember of him individually and what he did that you liked, that inspired you?
Well, again, he was another one of them. He was two-footed. The way he rode tackles in them days, his skill, his vision, it's just impressive, and I love a player like that, especially the vision, because I think that was the vision. You've got to see a pass first, and then deliver it.
It's a subject that we've got to come to, and I've got a little picture here now. Obviously, this is an audio thing, so it's only you that's going to see the picture, but we'll show our listeners. This is part of the thing you talked about getting shoved straight out, injection in whatever part of the body was not working, was in pain. And you used a phrase about playing all the time about 70% fit.
Yeah.
Were assaults like that part of the reason that there was pain all over
it does look worse. I've never seen that. I want that picture. I want that picture. I've
Describe
never
what you
seen
see.
it.
Describe what you know. That's Chris.
Yeah, I saw him the other week, Chris, and we had a chat about things. Yeah.
So describe what you're seeing.
Well, that's the great Graham Roberts, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And Chris, and they're both doing they're both two-footed tackles. Both feet, 4 feet off the ground.
They're kind of tap dancing, aren't they?
They're actually off the ground, both of them stamping on me. That's what it looks like. That's what, and I don't look too happy about it, do I? God, see, I've never seen that, but yeah. No, but getting back to the 70%, in my day, most of the players were only 70%, 80%. Nobody was ever under. I'd dare anybody to say, yeah, I was 100% fit.
Explain to the listeners what that means.
There weren't squads.
What was?
There weren't squads. We had 12 players really, and then anybody else, you know, we were struggling to have as a good substitute sort of thing to play. Whereas the two teams that won the trophies nearly all the time, Leeds, Liverpool, they had the 20-man squad, all blooming internationals, and obviously they, you know, when there's a couple out, they can put them in, and they were the two greatest teams for them 10 years.
The thing that I've always found weird, you talk about Leeds, Don Revie, their manager, was also the physio. There's lots of footage of Don Revie needing the players back to...
massages, yeah. I've seen him do...
I still think that's just... I think it's mental. Yeah. Your manager is like, no, I'll squeeze that problem out of your hamstring or whatever.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah, but...
What did 70% fit really mean then? Was it just like tiredness or pain or something's not working somewhere?
Well, you've seen the tackles that went in, and, you know, you used to just have to get up because you knew you weren't going to get a foul, a free kick for it, nine times out of 10, so you just got on with it and got up as quick as you can and get on with the game. You know, and perhaps I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I always felt like, you know, that most of the players were out there with injuries, knocks, whatever.
That you covered up with an injection just to take the pain away.
Yeah, perhaps not always. Well, obviously not always injections, but I must have had 4 or 5 cortisones over the years, and they destroy the area what you're treating. Makes you fine for the game, but don't do your blooming joints any good or muscles. But they just threw us out there. To be fair to the physios and the managers and that, we wanted to be out there anyway. So it was like a 50-50 thing. So
you've taken a look at that cup final picture of Chris and Graham doing a wee tap dance on an area that I don't actually want to name now that I've had another look at it. It's just as well you were already a dad by then. Tell the truth. Who did you have battles with? Who were the worst at that? And I say maybe worst in inverted commas because real men probably enjoyed the battles, but they were cloggers. People talk with fear in their voice still about Ron Harris, for example. Tommy Smith allegedly was as hard as nails. For you in that period, whether it's with United or Leeds or QPR, who were the ones who were like, okay, today this is going to be...
There was plenty because they did used to stick a man on me. Ronnie, I thought it was 50-50. I didn't do too bad against Ronnie, but you had to be aware. I mean, you had to not just always concentrate on where you were passing the ball and that. You had to make sure when and where he was going to arrive. And the same with Tommy. You know, Graham Souness, hard as nails, but could play as well. Johnny Giles. Not the cleanest of tacklers, but if I can put it in a nice way. Billy Bremner. But Peter Storey was
Arsenal.
was probably my biggest. He used to follow me around. No other job but to follow me around. And he would bite, scratch, spit, pull shirts, a lot just to try and stop me. But obviously he didn't do a good job on me that day when we won 5-0 here. But I always say that Pete Storey was my hardest opponent.
What was your temperament like for that? To what stage could you take it? Did you ever leave one on them?
I had to defend myself. I could handle myself. I was blooming 13 stone and 5'10 and a half, 5'11", so I could handle myself. You know, I got my own back on a few people, and I got sent off in '74, I think it was, at Peterborough. After 20 minutes. I mean, they were kicking me to death. I think it was the Watney Cup or something. And Clive Thomas.
Oh, Clive, there was.
Clive Thomas.
The World Cup famously stopped the World Cup when the ball was going in the net.
That's right. And right in front of him, right in front of the dugouts, and I didn't have to walk far to walk off, I caught this bloke above the hip as he was running past me, or trying to. And I just put my foot up and that, and I just walked off. Didn't even have to look round, but they were kicking me to bits in the first 20 minutes. We won the game 4-1 and went on to play in the final, I think. But
did you learn to have sort of like a sense about it doesn't matter if it was Tommy or Ron or Suey or whatever it might be. Did you have to have clearly you had vision, and you admire vision in others. The vision is often about space and knowing if your teammate will show, won't show, will run, won't run, etc. But you talked about also having to have sort of eyes all around you. We did early in the series, we did Charlie Nicholas, and Charlie reckoned that he was the first to invent shin guards in the front, shin guards in the back. So you'd tape 2 pairs on each leg just to try and protect. And that's 82, 83, and we're talking about from the 60s through 70s where standards were referees let much more go. Did you develop a sort of extra pair of eyes? Could you hear it coming?
I did have sort of peripheral vision. I did know, first of all, what I was going to do with the ball. I was aware. The great players can find space. They don't even have to find. It's there.
Create it.
You got your 10 yards. Yeah, you just know. But yeah, you can hear him coming, and you just got to make sure that you get out of the way and ride it. It didn't always happen, but like I said, you just had to get up and get on with it.
This was a beautiful club for you. It still is. We'll come back to the modern day. Have you any idea why, from all your clubs and the 2 big cities in your life, which is London and Sheffield, why has this city, this club, got in your blood so much?
Yeah, I have hung around a while. 41 years now. I'm in my 41st year at Sheffield United. Well, I had 8.5 years, great 8.5 years here. We nearly won the league in 74-5. We were 4 points off of winning the league. Unbelievable. And the next season we were down by Christmas, same team. Don't ask me why. 4 points from winning the title the year before. 4 points we had by December the 31st. The old 2-point system.
Cool, must have been a big summer.
We got off to a bad start. So I had a great, I'd been here 5 years and Paddy Crering rings me up.
Was it Paddy? I didn't know that.
And then Tommy Dock. All through the summer of 73. Bobby's finishing. I was captain of Sheffield United in Bobby's last game at Old Trafford. I've got a lovely picture of it. April the 23rd. We won 2-1, 73. So all the summer of 73, come to our club.
They want you to cross from Yorkshire to Lancashire, to go from White Rose to Red Rose, to go to Manchester United.
To replace an old git like Bobby Charlton.
Not bad.
Probably one of the greatest players ever in the world.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a big thing. I didn't do it. I should have done it. Why didn't I do it? I'll go back to how I first started this conversation. I didn't like change. I wasn't a confident man off the field, only on it. Extrovert, introvert. Man United? Flipping heck.
Two persuasive guys as well, and
I know.
Doc and Paddy. When they want something,
they're
both quite loquacious. They're both quite firm about what they want.
Yeah.
I imagine it must have been hard saying no.
Yes, well, it was. I mean, I probably was saying, yes, I'll sort it out. You know, first of all, I'm frightened to death because they're tapping me up.
Yeah.
And it weren't allowed, and I'm thinking, well, I don't want to be in trouble. You know, perhaps I should have gone, but, you know, had I have gone, none of this would have happened probably. Yeah. I don't know. But, I mean, I did end up 3 years before. I'd signed my life away at Sheffield United. I'd signed, up until I was 30, I signed a 6-year contract and a 1-year option in 73 instead of going to Man United. And there was no agents. I didn't get any rise. There was nothing in the contract that I was going to get a rise every year or anything like that. And then we went down in 75-6, and I had a verbal agreement with the chairman, Dick Ragg. He agreed that if we went down, I could go, and that's why I went to Leeds. And then I go to QPR, so that's 7 years. So I'm away from Sheffield for 7-8 years. And then I come back in 86 for a testimonial that they were giving me because I was back home with my mum. I was divorced and feeling sorry for myself. 1983, my career ends, professional career at QPR, and missed out on them. They got promotion that year. I only played the one game, never got a medal from winning the championship, and I'd gone by the time they played in the...
Back in the Premier?
Back in the first division it still was then, but so I missed out on that. But, you know, so I come back to Sheffield and I stayed. And I got this football in the community job in 88, and I've been working for Sheffield United ever since. 20 years as a community officer and 11 years now as ambassador. 31 years.
There's two things I still want to know. It's why?
Why?
I mean, the city, the air, the people, the walks, the club, the passion, the fact that you're loved. I don't know, but I just find it interesting. Because we all make choices in our life. And for you, that's the other part, it's been a richly satisfying choice. You've done something that you love. You've done a worthwhile thing for the remainder of your adult life. Not every footballer, no matter how talented you are, gets that. But you've had that. So overall, you've made a good choice. But one, have you any inkling about why? Or is it just fluke, life happens? And don't you feel that it's been richly rewarding?
Yeah, I've made decisions that perhaps looking back, everybody does, you know, should I have done that, should I have done that? But this lot up here, these Yorkshire people, of which a lot of them think I am Yorkshire because I've been up here that long with a blooming accent like this. No, they've been so great to me, you know, I mean, in my playing days, first of all. And I signed a 7-year contract here because I was happy, I loved it. I loved the life, I loved the people were great, and they still are. And they took me to their arts, they voted me the greatest player. I've got a stand named after me. I've got a room named after me over the other side. I've had lifetime achievements this last couple of years. It's just been phenomenal. I'm just waiting for my knighthood. Well, the freedom of the city, anyway.
We'll get on with sorting it out. We'll get on with sorting it out. I'd like to go to Leeds now, if you don't mind. I'd like to go to Elland Road. I'd like to understand the difficulty about moving within Yorkshire. Leeds has always been a bit of a Marmite club. There's a lot of people absolutely hate them, and those who love them with a fierce passion.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm Aberdeen, and Bumper Graham played. He was a Glaswegian, Arthur Graham, but Bumper played for us won the cup in 1970.
Yeah.
Was one of my early heroes because he would drift across the pitch. He was fierce. He let knock players over. He'd go by them. A wee hero of mine. He goes to Leeds. I think people forget that he was very successful at Leeds, but he went into a side that was still pretty full of character. Another genius of football who got played with injuries like you was Eddie Gray. Now, I don't know what you think of either of them. I don't know if you think I'm exaggerating, but you went in a really interesting Leeds side. Draw the picture of the people, Elland Road. I don't know.
Obviously, I went there to replace Johnny, who'd gone to West Brom, I think, and Jack had already retired and started managing. So they were the only two from the great squad of 65 to 75 that weren't there. All the others were still there. Pete Lorimer thought he was just a hard shot. What a player. What a skillful player. Just to see him in training, nutmegging people for fun. And he was just, it was a pleasure to play with him. Another sort of telepathy with him, as great players have. You mentioned Arthur Graham. Arthur Graham almost got in my 1 to 11 side. Absolute wizard. Right foot, left, punch in the area. Right foot, left foot. Arthur was absolutely, he was a pleasure to play with. He was a pleasure to go out and have a drink with. Me, him and Ray Ankin.
That's been said.
We used to go out on a Saturday night after the match and we'd go to the Bingley Arms at blooming Bardsey on the way home to Wetherby where we all lived. Arthur was just a joy to play with. He was just a fantastic player. He ended up at Man U, didn't he?
Did. Scored big goals, came in off the wing. I think he deserved more recognition and success while he was down here.
And the same with Eddie, but for, I think it was his thigh. He had this thigh injury all the time, bugging him, didn't he? But he was another wizard.
Could dance past players, couldn't
he? The skill was phenomenal. You've seen that Burnley goal he got from the corner flag and beat 3 or 4 men and put it in. He was, and it was just his injuries really that, and he was a winner. The times he's talked to me about you should have been a better player. Well, I tried to be a better player, but we can't all play for the teams that are winning the blooming cups all the time.
What's his point to you? What's Eddie trying to make a point to you about?
That I could have done better. Every time we see each other, he's always saying, "You should have been the top player, But that's Eddie. I mean, he's very emotional, very, very passionate about the game. I think it's a backhanded compliment. It's a compliment to me that because I think the Leeds players before I got there didn't realise, they thought I was just a showman and a show off, because that was my stage here at Sheffield United. But when I got there, they realised that I wasn't
proper football.
That I was I was one of them. I wanted to be a winner. They recognised that,
You had how many games with Jockstein? A couple? One?
How many days was he there? Same as Clough, 44?
44.
I think Jockstein he did. He'd already got the job in his pocket for Scotland. And I was so disappointed because he loved me as a player. We got on so well, and he just used him as a stepping stone, just for a little job in the meantime. 44 days.
It's not great, is it?
It's not fair.
Was there a state of shock when it happened?
I think so, yeah, if I remember rightly, yeah.
I'm going to cheat now because we're on the right time of your career.
Can I just get back to that Leeds team that we played in? Jimmy Armfield did a fantastic job. He had to come in, and all that great squad was getting old and old and older. I had a year with Alan Clark playing before he went.
Sniffer.
I only played 4 games with Billy, which was a shame. Lovely man.
Because you'd been up against him for the majority of the time at Sheffield United.
Yeah. Oh, we had some right battles. It was great. Norman Hunter, brilliant defender. We never mentioned him in the Aardmen, did we? Blimey. Paul Madeley could play anywhere. and did.
Often full back?
Yeah, full back, centre back.
Yeah.
Centre forward, he's played. He could have played anywhere, Paul. He was just a thoroughbred.
Trevor
Paul
Cherry.
Reaney, who could mark Bestie out of a game. You know, that was his asset. Wasn't great on the ball, but a great tackler and a man-to-man marker. Brilliant. The two greys, as I've said, and Jimmy brought Brian Flynn in. He brought Paul Hart in. He brought Arthur in. Ray Ankin in, who's a great mate of mine, one of my greatest mates, who could have played for England if he had a bad knee.
You'd have played briefly with Joe Jordan before he left.
Yeah, briefly. I was very disappointed with Joe and Gordon. Had we have kept them at the time I was at Leeds, I think we could have gone on to do something, but Man U poached them and, well, got them and signed them on.
But there's the rub, isn't it? Because that's what Eddie's saying to you when he talks about you. He's saying, if you'd shown us less loyalty to United and gone to Manchester United or gone to Liverpool at the right time, that's really what he's saying. That all you needed was an elite team around you to be as big an achiever as your talent could have made you.
Yeah. I've always said one man can't make a team, but a team can make one player better.
Imagine you'd been at the heart of, say, Dave Sexton's Manchester United, or at the heart of Bob Paisley's Liverpool. I'm saying that because that's what I came in here thinking. That's what I saw when I watched you. You know, I thought I was watching an extraordinary footballer, one that I haven't seen many like you. Spain, maybe. Probably never in your wildest dream did you think about playing in Spain or whatever. But there are players like you in my lifetime in Spain where there's space around them because they see things quickly. They pull other teams into doing what they want, and the release of the ball is just natural, and everybody benefits from it. And you'd have loved it there. You'd have loved it there.
Well, my biggest saying before everybody went out to a game was support the man on the ball, because that's the biggest thing, and it's the biggest crime if you don't. Apart from the furthest man being offside, that really bugs me. If I was a manager, that man wouldn't play for anybody again. But it was a bit of a selfish comment because I was normally the man on the ball. But you need support,
which means passing options.
Yeah, of course it does. If you've got, all the great teams have got 5 or 6, 7 options. This team we got here at Sheffield United now, they've got them options. In ordinary teams, you've only got one option, or you haven't got any options. You need a bit of shouting, a bit of information if you need it. Most players do need the information, man on, things like that.
But also there are players, implicit in your comment, there are players who pretend to want the ball but they hide.
Oh, yeah, and I can see players hiding. It's easy for us.
Hi, I'm over here, honestly, really. Oh, God, there's somebody...
They've got this ability of putting a man between them and the ball, and you can't kid an ex-pro.
No, but not every fan sees it.
Oh no, but they are more.
Why didn't you give the ball?
To be fair, they're more educated now than they ever have been because of all what's on the telly. The pundits and the.
So it's improved our understanding of the game.
Oh yeah, probably too much.
We probably all think we're professors. Yeah, to be fair.
Well, I think they always have done that.
That's why we come to a classroom like this as often as we can to learn from the best. Well, we haven't left Leeds behind because we've got sponsors that keep us going. Bet365 keep us going. And our sponsors want to know, and it's a cheat because we've already mentioned it. Tony, what was your greatest goal?
There have been a few, but the Leeds goal, 78-9 at Highbury, first game of the season. I think, was Jock in charge? He was in the stand. I know Ron Greenwood was in the stand.
Yeah, the managers are Terry Neal and Jock Stein.
Yeah.
Terry Neal, who'd managed Northern Ireland when you first played for England.
Yeah, and he scored the blooming goal.
He did score the blooming goal, yes. Chippy Brady opens things up with a penalty for Arsenal.
2 goals for him, yeah.
And then your moment comes.
Yeah. No, I won the ball in midfield, give it to Eddie Gray, and then did a 50-yard overlap. And, there weren't a lot in the box. I think John Hawley might have been in the box. But I just decided to hit it, and I just wrapped my right foot around it. Probably 6 yards, 5 or 6 yards from the byline and the corner flag. And it just, and old Pat just put his hand up like that, and then sort of, only half, it never even went over his head. He just thought, I'm not going to get that, and it just bent in right past him.
So we're at Highbury. The sun is streaming down.
North Bank.
Everybody at North Bank, they're all there giving it.
Yeah.
We're going to get it to
Great.
Leeds. and you can't see the goal. You know, you're flat. You talked about...
Almost.
It's flat.
5 or 6 yards, perhaps.
And you could have, if you'd reached back, you're going at such a speed you'd have broke your hand, but if you'd reached back, you could have touched the corner flag as you overlap.
Yeah.
And as you come onto it, I'm not cheating, I didn't score it. You know, I wasn't even there. We've been watching it about 60 times over the last 2 days. And it's a Brazilian goal. Do you remember when we started to, maybe you've been scoring these all your life, we started to watch Brazil more and more as television opened things up, so you'd see them in the 74 World Cup where they were an ugly side, 78. They were bending the ball in from everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're out on your right, and it comes off maybe your little toe on the outside of your right foot, and it's like a scimitar, it's like a half moon, and goes in right over Pat's hand into his top right hand corner from no angle at all.
I'd probably level with a 6-yard box, not far from the, so 6 yards out from the byline. I just decided to curl it in with me. Well, I hit it at goal, really. I mean, if I say I meant to put it in that top corner, but it flew in, didn't it? But the same season, that's ITV. The same season, we're playing Southampton at home. The Bender wins goal of the season, and that's on ITV goal of the season. It wins.
So your goal at Southampton for Leeds gets goal of the season officially, and they ignore that goal.
I know. What's all that about?
Thank you. That's good enough.
Should have been first and second.
Was there any sort of cross Yorkshire? I mean, did you get a bit of grief?
Oh yeah, but I tell you what, I got some following as well from Sheffield United support. I've met so many people that have told me they started going to Leeds because I'd gone
to watch you.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. That's astonishing.
It really is, but that is God's honest.
God's honest now, because I've got several more questions, and I want to make sure that I'm not doing to you what Tommy Smith or Chopper Harris used to do to you. Are you surviving there? Because I've got no cortisone with me. It's a straight question.
Go on.
Who got you into Superstars? Why did you go in Superstar? Because that was a brilliant show.
It was.
And all the other athletes of, say, Olympic discipline or judo, they lived to stick it to the footballers.
Yeah.
And compare Stan, like Stan Bowles, who you played with at QPR, was a fantastic footballer.
Yeah.
Stan didn't fare...
He got him in 1 to 11.
Bloody right. But he didn't fare too well on Super. For those who don't remember Superstars, tell them what it was and who wangled you into it?
So in the middle of the 70s anyway, can't remember who wangled in. Obviously we didn't have an agent and that, but it was in the summer, which didn't help because it was our close season, so we weren't really... Footballers are not fit in the, they're not as fit. I mean, you've got athletes, I'll tell you who was in it, you probably know. David Wilkie, the swimmer, Trevor Brooking, what's his name? Dave Boy Green, the boxer. He ended up winning it.
Dave
God
Boy
knows
Green
how.
could fight. He was East End of London.
Yeah.
Wilkie had won the gold medal in '76 for.
Yeah.
But it's a big range of different sporting disciplines, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's over 2 days. This one was at Harlow in Essex. You can opt out of a couple, right? So I did. I didn't do the weights and the something else, but I did the swimming. I didn't want to do the swimming. I weren't comfortable wearing those short bloody things. They give us all the kit, and I thought, oh no. And I'm not why I went for swimming, because I can swim. There's no problem with it, but it's so boring, and you don't get anywhere. Anyway, and there's no ball involved, so. So anyway, I went in that. I probably finished 7th out of 8 or 6th out of 7. I don't know. And but I came second in the archery shooting, and I came second in the cycling. And so I came because I can do anything. Normally footballers can play any games. I had an average that in the last one, whatever it was, 1,600 metres to 18, whatever it was, 2 laps, steeplechase. I've only got to get over that hurdle and finish second, and I've hit the bloody hurdle as I went to hurdle it, and I went in the drink, and I ended up 4th or 5th in the end, I think, in that race. But had I come 1st or 2nd in that, I'd have won it outright. But I didn't. But there's another. If we finish with that, because I've got another story. I was in the super teams as well, in the early '80s, and it was in Bath over a couple of days, and we've got the footballers v the rugby players, rugby union v the athletes. Well, the athletes are in tune all season, aren't they? I mean, they've won everything bar. We won the basketball because it was a team event. So we were. Glenn Hoddle was great. It was mainly the Spurs team, half the Spurs team that I'd played with against in the cup final. Falco and people, the lovely bloke Falco, and I'd learn the Chelsea keeper Barotta.
Peter Bonetti?
No, Barotta.
Barotta? Don't know him at all.
It might have been Peter Barotta.
Okay.
Actually, but not Bonetti. No, I knew the cat. Scored against the cat a couple of times. At Chelsea.
I'm glad I mentioned him.
Oh,
he ended up a postie in Scotland.
He did. Yeah. So I've put myself. We've had a meeting. I've put myself down for the cycling and the canoeing because I could canoe and all. Anyway, who do I get drawn up against? Come on, have a guess, quick. Athlete.
Oh,
well, who was the top athlete in the world?
Daley Thompson.
Bloody right.
Get out of here.
Oh, my God.
That's a fix.
He's beat me by, it was about a 300-yard cycle straight race, and he's beat me by 150 yards in that. And then he's given it that.
I was going to say, he wouldn't have rubbed it in at all. He'd have been quiet about it, was he?
Well, I knew Daley quite a bit. When I went to Toronto, he was there in the stadium, in our stadium, and I was, what are you doing here? He was training. I'd signed for Toronto after QPR.
Can you imagine what anybody who didn't see superstars growing up thinks about it now? The clubs, the insurance.
Yeah.
You're doing things that, they won't let players play Monopoly now in case they sprain their finger. Do you know what I mean? And do you remember there was the big one where Keegan was sacked because he was so competitive. I think Kevin had to win a cycling to it, and he comes off and he slides on the gravel.
He was pedalling too fast. He was trying to push them pedals so fast that that's what happened to him, I think. And
but can you imagine football clubs today?
I remember that.
Or the insurers.
Yeah.
Two more sections. The entertainers. Do you subscribe to this theory? And I put Ozzy, I put Hudson, Mackenzie, Barnes, you as the leader of the pack, Worthington. I know that there were other players.
Rodney.
But Rod Marsh, who you played with for England as well. So it's not like no manager ever trusted one or two of the entertainers in a team. They did. But the general feeling was that as a breed, you were underappreciated. Not by the media, not by the fans, but by maybe overly conservative managers who were scared, managers who were already going for functional footballers then. Is that a false perception so many years later? Or was that what you felt about you and those footballers, those other guys at the same time?
I don't know. It was mainly after the when your career's ended and you look back. But I mean, them players you mentioned, Revie, when he came to be England manager, he got the six of us after there weren't a match. It was a get together, and there was me, Charlie George, Alan Hudson, Frank Worthington, Dan and Rodney. Did I include myself?
Yeah.
No, Stan weren't there. It was Rodney and me. And there's six of us in a crescent. And he said to us after, he said, "I'm sorry you lot, you don't figure in my plans." What can you say to that? We just all walked away and looked at each other and thought that was it. But I got in most of Revie's squads when I was fit. But he only played me the once in the 3 years he was, I felt sorry for those others. Like Rodney got 8, Worthy got 8. What players they were. Charlie got 1, Uddy got 1. I mean, I got 17, and I thought I was not unlucky. I thought I'd been
badly done by.
Yeah. I mean, Revie didn't like me. I don't know what he thought I was doing. When we had the get-togethers, when there was matches, I'd go and see me wife at the time. And the kids, because they'd be in London at one of the mothers, my mothers or her mothers, and I'd just spend the evening there. Perhaps he thought I was going out on the town or something. I don't know. I really don't know. They used to like the carpet bowls and the bloody bingo. I used to want to go to my room, watch telly. I don't want to play bloody bingo and bowls. It wasn't compulsory, so well, I mean, I don't know why else he would. leave us players out, you know.
It seems ludicrous now.
Oh, Alan Hudson, how he could only, that game against Germany, when they win 3-1, he took the pee out of blooming Germany that night, and that was the only cap he ever got, wasn't it? It's criminal.
If you put that group together now and you could have them aged 28 in this market, the combined cost would be 700 or 800 million.
Yeah, easy.
And each of you had flair and talent and vision. Okay, it was about points, but you excited the crowd. Any manager not trying to pick all of you, never mind saying all of you, thanks and goodbye, you don't feature. I always thought Revie was an odd man, and that team that he built was not ugly, but it was hard.
Oh, the team he had at Leeds was, for me, and going back, I hated Leeds as a Sheffield United player. Everybody did, as you said. Everybody hated Leeds because they were successful. They were the best footballing side. I thought they were much better than Liverpool. Not much better, but I thought they were the better. I thought they were the greatest club side in the world at that time, between 65, 75. Always came runners up and missed out on a few things, and Liverpool won more, but I always thought Leeds were the better team. And what Revie did was fantastic, and they will not, none of them players will ever have a go at Revie because he was their father figure, and quite rightly so. But we've all got our personal problems, and Revie, I was a problem with Revie, or vice versa. He just did not like me or the others. Hence the reason he didn't pick me.
And you knew that, you could sense that his nose was at a joint with you.
Yeah. I mean, he picked Brian Talbot in midfield rather than pick me or Alan Hudson. Okay. Now, Brian Talbot, box to box.
Hard-working, did well with Ipswich and Arsenal. In terms of use of the ball, first touch, vision, inspiration, it's not the same thing. All right, in that case, we've got to say to you, from Bet365, one last question. Who's the best midfielder you ever played against?
Well, I played against Zico and Rivellino.
For England against Brazil?
78. It was Rivellino was on his way out and Zico was just on his way in.
Yeah.
We drew 1-1, Keegan scored. And I got all the headlines. Currie takes the Brazilians on at their own game. Loved it. And that was Greenwood's era, so I got 10 caps under Ron. Yeah, I mean, them two, but I mean, talking about Englishmen, Alan Hudson, Huddy, Jerry Francis, Trevor Brooking, and we've talked about all the hard men who were the harder ones with the lesser skills than the ones we mentioned, which they wouldn't mind me saying, but great players, all of them.
Then we can't.
Butch Wilkins.
Butch could play. Dearly departed. Butch could really play.
Yeah.
Chris Wilder, Sheffield United. Can you encapsulate what a special, interesting man he is? And do you know what it is that's made this club that you love, that you're a part of, play such interesting, different, thrilling football and defied the expectations? Just tell us about Chris, the guy.
Well, you say about expectations. My expectations this year was to be in the top 10. I thought we were good enough to do that. It's a different system to most of them play. Anybody can. They've got the freedom to overlap. They know what they're doing. There's 7, 8 options, as I've talked about. It's just, and he's done that. He's done that over the 3.5 years. I mean, I've been here 41 years, and the last 31 years in a row, and I've not seen anything like it to make me happy. I'm very critical. We've had to endure, and that's we, the Sheffield United public and supporters, we have suffered badly over the years, but this has just been a joy to watch. And it's all down to Chris Wilder getting a bunch of lads together and playing this system, and they've took to it, and it's just bloody great to watch. It's just great. I go to all the home and away games because I want to go. I want to see him play. I love it. It's a joy to watch him play. And there's a few games that a few teams have come and not worked it out, but they've stopped us doing what which they're supposed to do. In the main, it's great to watch, and the man, he's got a squad of players that respect him. He's got control of them. They can't do anything untoward, or else they get the wrath. of Chris Wilder. And I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of Chris Wilder, don't worry about that. But with him and Alan Neil, you know, they seem to sort things out. Whenever there's a problem, it gets fixed. Substitutions, 9 times out of 10 work. It's just, is he Irish? I don't know. Is he luck of the Irish? He's just phenomenal.
Isn't this what football's supposed to be like?
Yeah, yeah.
To make you describe it like that, to lift you, to make you want to go after 41 years, say I have to be at every game. That's what football's supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Currie, I'm going to dare a TC. This has been everything that I expected it to be. You've made me remember things, that fleeting images from however many years ago, because we're not that dissimilar in ages, and it's been a joy, it's been fantastic. You explain your skills just as well as you played. We're at a time now where I'm not supposed to reach out and shake your hand, so I'm just going to do this.
I should salute you and blow you a kiss. Yeah.
Legend.
Thank you.